And then the economic powerhouse, whether we like it or not, it's Gibraltar.
One of the main concerns of the city might be unemployment, maybe.
For me, that's what keeps me up most at night. Remember, our unemployment rate is nearly 30%.
What should I put for address?
Give me a kiss instead of complaining. Where should I put the address?
No entry. I put that sign because it's too narrow.
The vast majority of people, whether they're regular folks or workers, and now even more, have their businesses, their jobs, and so on.
Since 1704, when an Anglo-Dutch fleet took advantage by force to seize the city of Gibraltar, relations between the Spanish Campo de Gibraltar, especially La Línea de la Concepción, and the overseas territory of Gibraltar. The rock, today covered, as you can see, by a dense fog that doesn't let us see its summit. Their relationship has been one of mutual dependence, with its ups and downs, of course, over these 3 centuries. Join me in this new video to learn more about these territories, their people, history, present, and future. Let's go.
Look, right now we're in what would be the geographic center of the urban area, okay? In fact, the city, just so you get an idea, geographically, it's like a cape that goes over there and ends in Gibraltar. The iconic image of the rock is a little further that way, right? So when the city was founded, it was around a line of fortifications that existed on this cape. A fort, the fort of Santa Barbara on Levante Beach, and the former fort of San Felipe on Poniente Beach. From one fort to another, a palisade. A defensive line called the countervallation line, which was intended to prevent the British from taking more Spanish territory. That line was built between 1730 and 1735. At that time, about 3,000 people lived here, including soldiers and civilians. And everything that comes with soldiers, like shoemakers, tavern keepers, prostitutes, and so on. Yes, everything, why should we lie? All right, in 1810, okay, those walls and forts were destroyed. Why? Because the English started supporting the Spanish to drive out the French who had invaded us with Napoleon. They agreed to help, but only if they could leave. They weren't interested. But people lived here, right? That's when the first streets to the south start, meaning the city begins to grow from south to north. That is, from the border towards the north, okay?
From this countervallation line?
Correct. So in 1870, the municipality became independent from San Roque. San Roque is a bit further up, which is the city that was created. As a result of the Spaniards who lived in Gibraltar not wanting to be under British rule, they ended up establishing a new settlement around a small chapel that was there, and that's where the city of San Roque was founded.
Which is why it's said that the real Gibraltarians are from San Roque.
In fact, the flag is exactly the same. I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard some even have property inscriptions or deeds from that era, okay? And well, as I was saying, the city started to grow from south to north. So there came a time in 1883 when it was decided to build a new bull ring. So at that time, keep in mind, there was no soccer, no Formula One, no tennis. What did people like? Bullfighting. So on this land that was a huge sandy area, okay, a group of businessmen, mind you, businessmen from La Línea and Gibraltar. Gibraltar didn't have a bull ring, so this one served for that purpose. Now, I'll tell you a story I bet you don't know. And in 1883, this bull ring was built. The bull ring is a very historic place and is very important in the world of bullfighting. There are people who like it and others who don't, but also from a cultural perspective. If you read, for example, Ulysses by James Joyce, okay, Ulysses by James Joyce, it's a day in the life of Leopold Bloom, right? Leopold Bloom is an Irish Jew who lives in Dublin, and it's about what happens to that man on June 16th, 1909, right? Okay? There are 2 parts of the book, 2 small passages. In one where Molly Bloom, who is Leopold's wife, starts telling that she was watching a bullfight at the bull ring in La Línea de la Concepción. And you might say, well, what is this woman doing here? It's very simple. She was from Gibraltar, and her mother was supposedly from here, from La Línea. Later, near the end of the novel, the protagonist talks about places he'd like to visit before he dies. He starts saying that he would like to go to Ceylon because he likes the tea that is grown there. He would like to go to the Vatican because he would like to meet the Pope, to Jerusalem because that's where Jesus Christ lived. And he would like to see the bull ring in La Línea de la Concepción, where O'Hara fought, O'Hara, the one with the camels. This O'Hara really existed, but it's not known if he actually fought here. He was an Irish soldier stationed in Gibraltar. He was fascinated by bullfighting, left the army and became a bullfighter, and there is evidence that he actually fought in the Maestranza of Seville. So it's a very historic bull ring, and in particular one that I am especially proud of because it was in a terrible state of preservation. There's a video on YouTube if you want to look it up, that's all. The second arcade was demolished in 1975, but with European and city council funding, it now looks spectacular.
Is it working now?
Yes, in fact, besides, I say this for both bullfighting fans and those against it, for those who like bullfighting, we usually have bullfights during the fairs, which are held here in July. And then there might be a special event during the year, and thanks to the renovations, we also have concerts now. We had David Bisbal this year, and by the way, on July 5th we have El Barrio here, okay? On September 6th we have Los Chichos, and we have more activities. Here we've celebrated Oktoberfest and Bloomsday, which is on June 16th, inspired by what I mentioned before. We also organize a party here. We've had charity events and motorcycle stunt shows. So,
if you allow me, I'll jump to a topic that really interests me to tell the people who are watching us now, which is that you are the most voted councilman in the last elections in 2023 with a majority of around 80%, which is unusual, right? Like this very city, and also you come from a majority in 2019 as well, so I'm connecting it.
In 2019 I was third bronze and now gold.
Of course, there has been progress. It means that people are supporting you, not just you, but the whole city council team, and it also revolves around that. You'll explain it in detail now, but if I'm correct, it involves the renewal of city spaces and infrastructure, as well as an existing debt. Can you share how this occurred?
Well, let me make a brief comment. I should also point out that we are an independent party. Anyone, normally in their city, it's governed by the PP, the Partido Socialista Obrero Español, some nationalist party, or another party, either left or right, not the usual case. We are an independent party, completely eclectic, and anyone is welcome. I mean, here we go. For example, I don't know who my councillors vote for in the general elections. For example, right? That's on one hand. Then why did we start? Because in 2015, I think we hit rock bottom. The city has a lot of problems. Okay, we're not going to talk now about drug trafficking or unemployment or relations with Gibraltar, which with Gibraltar specifically are very good. Brexit is affecting us, and we can discuss it in detail later if you want. But the problem was already that there wasn't even a minimum quality in public services, and the debt was a debt that right now we were at 126 million euros, but 8.5 years ago the debt was at 177. We have reduced the debt by 51 million euros in just over 8 years, okay? Then the workers back in 2013 were owed 2 paychecks. They're being paid on the 27th and 28th, and suppliers are receiving payments for their debts. You used to issue an invoice, and if lucky, got paid in over 2 years. Now payments come in 1 to 15 days. We don't have any trusted positions in the City Hall. If we only count the municipal workers, we don't have any, like a normal town would, it seems, right? The city across from us has a municipal television channel, and I think that's great, but we can't do that, so we don't have a municipal television channel. I have just 2 press staff from City Hall. Both were here previously. He brought in more people for this, and well, we're trying to carry out a very austere management. For example, another measure we have is coffee with the mayor. I announce in advance on social media, the press and so on, that on a certain day, I will be at a certain time in a certain cafe. It's usually on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday at 6 p.m., so no one can say Madrid is playing and can't come. And now everyone who comes there, well, sometimes they come to me with absurd questions. I'm not going to lie, or with complaints like my street has a pothole or something like that. But you also find that in many cases the issue the neighbor brings up makes you reflect, makes you think, and in the end makes you look for solutions. There are problems that maybe only affect one person. or they affect a neighborhood, a group, a community, and well,
Communication with people is another key factor, and perhaps something City Hall should emphasize.
two things here. You don't mind, do you? First, let me be clear. There's a management you promote and people notice it. For example, I didn't bring you here out of conscience. We're moving forward, okay?
Okay.
Well, what's up with this square? Well, look, we put a sports court there and so on. And there you can see the kids playing on a small skate park. It's not a big deal, you know?
Yes, gradually, as you said.
That tells you that you say, well, I see this as an achievement, but I wish you could see what was here before.
Look, check out this little square they have here. And it's not the first one I've seen. I've seen 3 already. So with this, you have little squares here for the kids to play, right?
Well, this square meant
I used to skate when I was a kid. I would have loved this if I had lived here.
this square caused a problem for neighborhood management. Why huge? Because banks and others come in, let's not kid ourselves. The neighbors were afraid that people would come here to drink, make noise at night and all that, and that kids would come to play soccer. Anyway, the complaints, the trouble and all that, so what did we do? Well, when we had more or less decided on the matter, we called a meeting with the neighbors in the main hall. Everyone who wanted to give their opinion did so. We tried to fix certain things. For example, they were thinking about putting up some metal fences, but we replaced them with nets. Because of course, when the ball hits the fence, it makes a noise. Here, for example, look, this is another one we fixed, okay?
This is another square.
Yes, there's another small square with a basketball hoop there.
How long ago did you fix up all these squares? When did you start, let's say, with this renovation plan?
These ones specifically were done a couple of years ago, maybe 3, which is when we had the money, right? The playgrounds, they were fixed up, but we've had an issue with hiring for maintenance, and now we're putting out a new contract to replace all of this, to keep it in reasonable condition, right? But well, it's getting there.
The response from the residents to this improvement in infrastructure, how is it perceived? How do you perceive it? Have they told you?
The main problem was, I'll give you a very simple example, but I think it sums it up, okay? Now try to think as if you were a neighbor here. Between 2008 and 2015, which is 8 full years, only 500 square meters were paved in the city. 500 square meters could cover the distance from here to that intersection.
Of course, that's nothing, just 100 or 200 meters.
100 by 5? That's 500, not 5. It's a bit more just a stretch of street, right? Okay? Between 2016 and 2022, we paved 400,000 square meters.
Wow, what a difference then.
I don't know if that's a lot or a little, but it's 800 times more. So
That impacted daily life. Now, there are no more potholes.
potholes, I can report issues, but the potholes remain. Just think about a city where no significant public action has been taken for 8 years. Imagine yourself leaving your house without painting it, and if you get a leak in the bathroom, you just let it be. I mean, no improvements of any kind are made to your house. Don't buy anything, and if the fridge breaks, it stays broken. After 8 years, what do you find in that house?
Of course not, man.
There are even snakes. So, what am I trying to say? That the city still has a lot of problems. Well, the first thing you see are bushes and me, right? I don't need to tell you anything. Or, for example, for this to have a proper urban solution, this house should have been expropriated. We should have started here and reached this main road, right? Or that my face or the urban furniture that's here, it's a shame to see it. What's going on? That, because I don't hide the problems, okay? So what I'm getting at is that, imagine having nothing, like a house that sat untouched for 8 years. And one day they have the kitchen painted for me, and you say, damn, the next day, well, they changed the label on the bathroom door. And we keep going with the example. They put in the fridge, and when X years have passed, you say, damn, the biggest thing still needs to be done, but for example, right now, we've almost gone because of the circumstances, okay? It's very hard for me to invest in current expenses. For example, I can hardly hire cleaning staff because I have an adjustment plan. That is, the city council's debt is so high that when we approve the budget, it goes to the ministry. The ministry is the one that gives me the green light or tells me where to make cuts. Our budget is extremely low, okay? However, we have become specialists in applying for grants to make it work. Come on, a nightclub, Andan. We have become specialists at getting grants. I'll share some information, unsure if I've given it before. In the year 2015, the year we started, public investment was 335,000 euros. Keep in mind, for a city of 70,000 inhabitants. This year that we have just finished, public investment has been 24.5 million.
Wow. What a difference.
Yeah, of course. And you ask, wow, how did you do that? Let's go, it's easy. It turns out that having massive support from the neighbors, because here a few things have happened, to a certain extent, without knowing why or without being clear about where it was going to end up. I'm not saying it for us, I'm saying it for the neighbor, right? In the 2015 elections, the situation was so desperate. I said it once in a video they recorded of me, and well, nothing. What if the clown Tonetti had run? Well, he would have gotten 9-2.
About the situation that had been reached here on the line?
People were so extremely fed up, desperate, and disgusted with the situation in the city that it didn't matter who showed up.
What caused this neglect? We want to understand.
Very simple. The city council knows it has a very complicated situation. The city knows it has many problems. Okay? He's setting up the Atunara, huh? Very good.
We're entering Atunara now, right?
Yes, Tunara, just a normal neighborhood. It's a humble fishing neighborhood. Let's see if we have time for Canary Street and more, right?
Very good.
So by the way, I want to be honest, there are serious drug trafficking problems. I want that to be clear too, okay? Most people are simply trying to live a normal life. Some, not just a couple, but not everyone in these neighborhoods are involved in that. Anyway, back to what we were discussing. In the year up until 99, the Partido Socialista Obrero Español had always been in power, and in the last 4 years it was the PP. In 91 there were elections and Gil ended up winning them. You remember that, right? Marbella and the whole story, okay? So here comes the shock, and Gil carries out some crazy economic policies, practically doubling the staff. He starts with spending, in my opinion, on completely unnecessary showiness. He pushes a wild security and cleaning policy. And we live in a kind of dream, a dream that turns into a nightmare, all right? Because there comes a time when the resources run out. I mean, there's no money coming in from land sales, no money from building permits, revenue collapses, and so on. Basically, when the crisis of 2008 hits, all right, in the elections of 09 no, of 11, the city council gets by as it can, with the PP already ruling until 2011. In 2011, a complete collapse occurs, and a phenomenon begins to emerge that year. Payments to workers are pending, resulting in less money circulating in the city. This is a crazy situation. Public services completely collapse. Nothing is being done. In short, a real disaster, okay? All right then, let's go.
Well, I see you greet everyone.
Yes, as it should be, right?
Besides, the most voted in Spain.
Thank you then.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this is typical, maybe because this city has 70,000 people. It's not small, but you're also very...
Yes, no, there's a strong sense of belonging here.
Uh-huh.
Let me explain. I won't discuss nationalism since we're a people, but if we were a larger territory, I would, okay? I mean, here the people on the soccer team go all the way to the end. When the fair arrives, I get dizzy because it lasts 10 days. It's the paso doble from the band. Every time they enter one side, paso doble. Then maybe not as much, but let's say they wave their flags. Here in the city, you see it everywhere. There's also a strong sense of unity. Then comes 2015, a disastrous economic situation, terrible service delivery, and then there's no city project. People were thinking about leaving. I mean, me first, right? I was thinking about leaving. Until there came a moment when a group of us got together. Out of 25, we got 9, tying with the Partido Socialista Obrero Español, who had more votes, but we governed with the Popular Party and with the person who led Izquierda Unida, a series of actions were carried out. The first year was tough, no budget or resources, but we managed. I'm not happy about it, but it was necessary. We made a significant cut in important salaries, and with that we were able to move money. From Chapter 1, to make it clear, personal expenses, to Chapter 2, to make it clear, spending on current goods and services, right? So from there, we were able to start tackling certain public works. In short, it created a wave of work, of hope, so that people could see things differently. Well, the elections of 19 came, and that's when we had a significant boost, right? I mean, we went from 9 to 21. In the next 4 years, even more was accomplished than in the first 4. Let me give you an example. Whenever we entered the Cardiff, my main challenges were the stadium, Torres Square, and the market. And we're going to do all 3 things. The stadium is already there. I hope it will be finished by September. The market, all the exterior work and stalls are nearly done, though there's a separate issue with the merchants, but that's another story. And then the part I mentioned, the market, the Plaza Torres Stadium, which you've already seen, and well, it's already fully operational, right? Do you think I have money for everything?
But if you saw what that street looks like?
All right, I'm going to see it now. I'm going to see it now. I know, ma'am. Do you know how much what we fixed there has cost us? 2 million?
But that street is blocked.
What should I do? Kiss me instead of complaining.
You have to put on your turn signal.
Where should I put the turn signal?
Wrong way. I mean, no entry.
Where exactly? From Lepanto Street going toward Vienda del Carmen or away from it?
Sweetie, come here. The street where I plan to put the wrong way sign is Musica. It has the whole house on it.
Which part is it that I need to find money to fix?
I said it before, yes.
Yeah, but you know how much is here?
Lepanto Street, 113.
Pantlo 113?
It's just a feeling. You don't talk, and they've reached my door.
Hello, very good.
The entire house and wall are destroyed.
There's much to do.
Don't you see the ambulances, the trucks passing by? And it's one way.
Ma'am, Lepanto 113, correct?
Corner with Santa Clara?
There it is, come on.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, thank you.
You have to set Velardo as your goal, Velardo. You can't take out the wheelchairs.
That's just daily life. Doesn't that happen to you often? Nothing. We just saw a couple of ladies remind him that there's a street that needs to be fixed.
Nothing, just come on. We're in a neighborhood, okay?
Yeah.
All right, this is the Atunara, okay? We passed the beach and a small docked fishing boat area. In the background is the Church of the Virgin of Carmen. A fundraising campaign has now started to restore it because it's not in good condition, okay? The fishing port is right behind it, okay? This whole area is called La Atunara.
And this, La Atunara? Well, yes, sorry.
Originally, it's a fisherman's neighborhood, okay? And like I said, the vast majority of people here are normal people, hardworking people, people who at least have their own businesses, their jobs, and so on. And that's a good thing. Some people are involved, not just here. I don't want it to seem like it's only here.
No, I didn't mean that it's here where it happened 600 years ago.
This is the city's origin.
The city is here from the fishermen of Levante Beach.
What happens is that, in fact, there are no remains left, because keep in mind that there are more constructions made of perishable materials. I mean, those are shacks, huts, sheds, and so on. This is a French restaurant. It's like here, really great, you know. Well, look, maybe later. They're recording me. What's wrong with you? The French restaurant serves amazing food around here. The usual thing in this area is fish. It's fried fish. Here the food is amazing. Here at the Maradero, the Tomilero, and another one that's inside here. Gastronomically, we need to discuss the good stuff. Above all, we would have about 3 areas. There would be the downtown area, which is more for tapas, where you can find them, well, different ones. Let's call them models. For example, typical items here are canapes, montaditos, and everything else on the kitchen menu. If we went to the Poniente Marine sector, which is the other part of the city, there are several establishments there that combine more cuisine, some design, and more. Interestingly, those over there have a similar feel and atmosphere in that part of the city, but here it's fish.
Yes.
The French guy is a kid who came here from La Línea, but he was born in France and all that. He trained as a cook there, right? As a chef. And then he came back here to open the restaurant. And then in the downtown neighborhood, you'll mainly find traditional food. That's really what it's about. I don't know, man. Like meatballs, stuffed potatoes, things like that.
How many people approximately, live in this neighborhood? In Atunara?
Well, maybe, I don't know, 3,000 people.
3,000 people.
More or less. Yes, look, we just fixed these streets. Mr. Reno started here. He started making noise for me with the head of the kingdom, Lepanto Street, which is over there. Okay? We just invested 2 million euros here, also with European funds. This is Canarias Street. The whole sidewalk has been replaced.
Yes, you can see it's brand new.
The entire water supply network, the entire sewage system, all the stormwater drains have been replaced, and all the street lights have been installed as well. Hello, how are you? It has been changed, as you can clearly see. The paving has been redone, and speed bumps have been installed to prevent vehicles from speeding. Some details are still missing, okay? For instance, we still need to install the bollards here.
Yes, to prevent double parking. Yes, but it looks new. We can see you've paved and added a new surface.
We'll also finish Avenida España, a separate parallel project. A new feature, the single catalog, has been introduced. In short, it's like an instruction manual for our projects. So from now on, all the projects will use this type of paving depending on the part of the city. The details are in red, some are in blue, this little bit for the Roman style and so on for the blue.
Well, interesting.
It's fascinating to watch the kids emerge from these alleys. What do you want? Come in if you want.
Wow, these alleys. You access houses through here, right? Homes.
To homes, all right.
Check it out.
Here's another one for you.
Should I bring the shovels to dig?
So this way, these were originally barracks.
These were barracks.
Yes, and when the water came, they would lift them up and all that. Someone built a brick house, put in the door and everything. And well, it has a pretty peculiar geography here, doesn't it?
In what year was this built?
This is historic. My mother lived on Lepanto Street, and I'm talking about the year 50.
From the year 50?
Yes, so from here on, you can't start construction because it's the maritime terrestrial boundary, okay? And well, what you see a little further ahead is the port, okay? Right behind it, you already have the sea here. Let's go.
Yes. These small houses traditionally belong to fishermen.
Fishermen's housing?
People still work here, though fewer do now since the port opened.
Yes, but the port is there. The port is right there if you want to take a look.
Yes, come on. Let's record that quickly.
You see the port, okay? And well, the fish market is pretty busy.
Hey, what's up? How are you? How are you all doing? Good?
Let's see if I cut myself. What do you think? Take a look. They've been flooded where I live. Yeah, but you called the truck. Did Rafael call?
I didn't call the truck.
I'll give him a call. Your ticket, which one is it?
This one, yes.
Is this Rafael from the Canary Islands?
In front of what used to be the bar. That's where the game was, right on the corner.
I'll tell Rafael to come by tomorrow to look around, or come now. Here, the only thing you'll find are houses, all kinds of people, well, as you can see.
Yeah, humble.
Well, for now, look at this and so on, and then, well, some here and there, well.
There's an issue. Well, one of the main concerns of the city might be unemployment, right?
For me, that's what keeps me up at night the most. Remember, our unemployment rate is nearly 30%, which is outrageous.
30%.
So then you find that unemployment has an unreal aspect to it, you know? Also, let me make it clear and explain, there's a percentage of the population. Hello, how are you? Finishing up, right? This is fresh. That's why I told you to step back.
They're fixing things here.
They're wrapping up the work. So the thing is, here we have an unemployment rate that could be found in any Andalusian city, Chandal, okay? That is, there are people who, for whatever reason, are unemployed during the recovery. Because after the crash in construction, those poor people were left out of place. Or people who are a certain age and their company has closed and they can't get back into the workforce, or young people who have finished their studies. So it's something that can be extrapolated. And then it's also true that there's a percentage of the population, I'm telling you, that no matter what you offer them, they're not going to work.
Of course.
So it's a problem.
What do people generally do, and what kind of economy is it?
Here you are precisely this Friday. No, sorry, next week. Tomorrow is Friday. It's the middle of the week. Next week I have a business meeting because I'm going to bring together the roughly 25 or 30 most important companies we have in the city. We've estimated that these 25 or 30 companies have been directly providing jobs to about 2,500 people, okay? That is, I don't have any major industries like Acerinox or Cepsa, which are in the neighboring towns, but for example, we do have OBAGU. I don't know if you've heard of langostillo. Do you know what it is? Well, it's a type of canned food, and the only place in the world where it's made is here. Some shells caught here and at this fish market are processed, right? Plus there's something else. Let me share a fact I'm sure you don't know. 25% of all the smoked salmon consumed in Spain is produced in La Línea.
It's produced in La Línea.
Didn't you know that?
25%, so do you have salmon processing plants?
Right, salmon isn't raised here, it's imported from Norway, Chile, etc. It's brought, processed, and packaged here. So this is the fishing port, right?
Yes, we've arrived at the fishing port.
And there's a lot of activity here. There could be about 200 people making a living from fishing here. All right, so from here, look at all this we have. This is Playa Virgen, okay? In the background, you can see the Menara Tower from the 16th century. And what you see on the left is a vacation residence owned by the Junta, which has been closed, but they're going to put out a tender to bring a hotel chain here. The place is amazing, like I said. We have companies from different sectors that bring together a significant number of workers. Maybe the one with the most employees could be Conserva. Jubago currently has around 450 to 500 employees in the area, not including temporary workers, plus places like shopping centers and Carrefour. Then there's an important sector of the population who are public employees. For example, the hospital might have 900 workers, the National Police and Civil Guard 100, City Hall 600 more employees, plus all the teaching staff and so on. Okay? Then we have a service sector that has a good side and a bad side. Let me explain. Let's go down this way. I haven't gone through here before. The good side is that we have a significant number of hospitality establishments, bars, cafes, restaurants, and so on. Hello, how are you? The quality is good, but let's be honest, they're just 300 small businesses with few workers. And then the economic engine, whether we like it or not, is Gibraltar.
Gibraltar.
Let me explain. We currently have about 72,000 residents in the city, and approximately 11,000, well, around 11,000 are working in Gibraltar. Okay? What does this mean? It means there are 11,000 people every day, 11,000 residents living in La Línea, okay, who every day have to cross an international border. With an important detail, nowhere else in Europe, I'm not talking about the whole world, since it's very big and I don't know it, there are no two territories bordering each other with such a high income inequality as there is between La Línea and Gibraltar. I mean, it's brutal.
This directly impacts prices and other residents of La Línea.
Correct. Here we have a double-edged sword, and the relationship with Gibraltar is excellent. Okay? I mean, just so we're clear, I'm only referring to economic relations. Let me tell you, right now I have 8,000 foreigners living permanently in the city. We have nationals from more than 100 countries and from all the territories of the European Union. Okay? What does this mean? Well, it means that it's a pretty cosmopolitan city, and for example, it's not common for any school to have children of different nationalities. And then, when you go out to bars, restaurants, and so on, you find this in the most unexpected places. What's the problem? The problem is that we have a pretty limited housing market, and the price of rent is, well, let's just say it's high. Did you see a lady just stopped me with a problem about her rent? And it's likely that they won't renew her contract because a foreigner is coming in, and with work, freedom, and pay. So, well, that's the law of supply and demand, unfortunately, right? Also, the average ticket in certain places can be more expensive than if you go, for example, to a town that's closer to San Roque, right? So, well, it's a double-edged sword because on one hand it benefits us economically, and on the other hand, for some parameters, the rest would already be a study in expansion. This was the most profitable city in Andalusia for housing investment with 8% returns. It was the 8th city in Spain, and if you check the top, you'd see Madrid, Barcelona, Gandia, places that impress you, and then La Línea, making you wonder, why La Línea? Do you know why? Well, because you have that history.
That story with that case history.
The border, this doesn't happen elsewhere. Now I begin my cries and sorrows.
Yes, no, go ahead. Can it be filled with your plan?
Yes, I'll tell you.
Yes, you have to apply for autonomous city status.
Let's discuss that, since many of us say, pray to God, but keep working, right? And the thing is, we have a plan regarding the autonomous city issue, which I'll talk about now, okay? But what we're not going to do is just sit around waiting for water to fall from the sky, okay? So what are we doing? Well, for now, we've already resolved the City Council's financial situation. When I say resolved, I mean the debt is under control, it's being paid off, and so on, okay? Then, on the other hand, the municipal workers' situation is much more stable now, and they receive regular pay. And above all, we've been able to hire more staff, which we really needed, because before we didn't even have anyone to handle the paperwork, right? Everything is done through competitive exams. The temporary staff are working too, so we don't have any trusted personnel, okay? We started with a city design to transform the main public facilities. We've discussed the Plaza de Toros market, the Tal Stadium, pedestrianized downtown, and now we're heading there, all right? Improvements are being carried out in neighborhoods like the one you've seen, okay? On the other hand, we're working on the approval of the new General Urban Development Plan. The document we have is from 1985. It's completely outdated, and I hope let's finish before the summer and have the final approval from the board. And from there, for example, the land we've seen past the port of La Tunara on the left, you think, with this amazing beach, how come you don't have hotels here? And things like that. It wasn't in the PGO, but it's in the new one. And well, from there, operators start coming in, and we also begin to activate these sectors. And then with all this previous work, we're managing to attract private investors, okay, in the city, just so you get an idea. Hello, how are you? The city center is where we are, okay? If you look up, that's Santa Margarita.
Up there on the hill?
The houses you see there, that's a distinct area of Margarita. Those are good quality homes with middle-class families and so on. Then there's an open field that ends at La Alcaidesa. I'm not saying it's another big one, but it's similar quality homes. I'm not saying it's just for rich people, no, but anyway, we're talking about a different potential. And there we have a series of public spaces. In some cases, they're facilities. And right now, see you later, we're already getting interested investors to come. Well, from setting up a retirement home to taking space for a private school to carrying out real estate developments in the form of housing and so on, partial plans. So little by little, we're managing to change that dynamic. Public works are also resulting in a lot of money circulating. Let me explain. Many of the workers on these projects that are being carried out are from here, from the city, even though the companies are from outside. In the end, it's an economy that's being generated. Our role as an administration is to get the snowball rolling, whether we end up liking it or not. We're in a capitalist economy, so private companies must also start creating conditions.
I understand.
That's on one hand. That being said, there's a project that's much more ambitious, more long-term. And what I feel is that no matter how much I've explained it, it hasn't been understood, which is the issue of the autonomous city. Let's be clear, for now, as you can imagine, I have absolutely no interest, at least for now, in becoming independent from Spain, right? I've heard that nonsense around, so here we are.
Yes, there's the issue of independence, a bit from Spain.
That's not the case. No, what happens is that, well, the issue coincided with what's going on in Catalonia and all that, right? That doesn't make any sense. Let's start there. They've also tried to frame it as opposition to Andalusia. You say, no, if you heard me speak, you wouldn't think I'm Basque, right?
No.
I mean, the other way around. Culturally, well, I think we completely identify with Andalusian culture. We feel Andalusian. When we see the white and green flag, we get emotional, and it's no problem. That's not the point either. So what is? It's simple. We have a situation that is unique in Europe. That is to say, there is no territory in continental Europe. Vago, see you. There is no territory in continental Europe that has a border. But if my Taliban are there, they push me away, right? It seems they didn't see me when I passed by. There is no continental territory that shares a border with Brexit, okay? There's no continental Europe, huh? There's Ireland. There are also 2 military bases in Cyprus, Akrotiri and Dekelia, okay? So if you analyze, for example, what China did, okay? In 1979, Deng Xiaoping, who was the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, when he already saw that in 98, 99 sovereignty over Hong Kong would be regained. Hold on, stop, this won't work because we'll have a developed area next to a poor, unpopulated one. Because across from it was Shenzhen, a city of about 30,000 people. So he came up with an idea. He also said a famous phrase, it didn't matter if the cat was white or black, what mattered was that it caught mice. He developed the concept of one country, two systems, and he created special economic zones so that any company that settled in Shenzhen, also with public capital investment, would have a series of tax hiring and other advantages and so on. What happened? In 1999, Hong Kong was incorporated into the government of regulations. Okay? It has its own parliament within the People's Republic of China, but over time, Shenzhen ends up becoming the territory with the highest income level in all of China. Okay? The highest percentage of risk.
Yes.
And by the way, when I was a kid, you're younger than me. When you bought a Walkman, it said made in Hong Kong.
Yes.
Now, like many, they use made in People's Republic of China, which doesn't stand for the Popular Republic of China. What does this mean? All the factories ended up there, and now the population is about 5 million. What am I going to refer to? What we're proposing is that this city has certain tax conditions, okay? And more things that I'll mention now that would make it an attractive place. Not to compete with Gibraltar, but to take advantage of the part that comes from Gibraltar as a consequence of Brexit. What am I referring to? I'm pointing out that some companies, for obvious reasons, since Gibraltar is no longer in Europe, they leave Gibraltar. Why? Because they operate in a space, let's call it a European area, and of course they can't be in Gibraltar because they can't operate in Greece, Bulgaria, or Lithuania, okay? So what we're suggesting is that this aircraft carrier be placed here, that is, and that these companies keep their branch. For the space, let's call it British Commonwealth, however you want to call it, and a company that is set up here to operate in the community space. All right, so that's on one hand. That is, for that, what do you need? A special tax regime. For example, I've met with companies from the insurance sector that wanted to set up here but haven't done so because it's not financially viable due to taxes. Yes, but they're in Lithuania.
Yes, of course, they're in Lithuania.
They're in Lithuania, so what? How are you? Good to see you. For example, then there's another issue that when I explain it to you, you probably won't know about it. Pensions. It turns out that you're working in Spain, I don't know. You work as a freelancer anyway, whatever you have, that's your problem.
Yes.
But for example, I'm paying into the general system, I have certain amounts and so on, and in the end, what happens? That when you retire, you get your pension depending on what you've contributed. There are set maximum and minimum pensions, right? That's not how it works in Gibraltar. Two workers start working on the same day at the same company. They both retire on the same day at the same company with the same number of years contributed, and both end up receiving the same pension. So, well, where's the problem? If one of those workers is Spanish or a foreigner or a resident here, he ends up receiving a pension of 300 or 400 euros. The Gibraltarian also gets those 300 or 400 euros, but they do some very light community benefit work.
Like cleaning streets and similar tasks, right?
In the daycare, basically a very light job. and they end up getting community care, which might be, let's say, another $1,400, and if they get disability, then it's $2,000, of course, and with that, they live.
And that's not available here.
Right, so what's the issue? I have 11,000 workers, over 7,000 are Spanish, and more than 4,000 are foreigners. The foreigners, well, maybe there's one, I'm making this up, no offense, but maybe one is Bulgarian, and maybe with 400 euros in Bulgaria, you can get by. I don't think so, okay? Because I've been to Bulgaria, and it's not that cheap. All right, but just to give an example, okay? But the Spaniard living here will be a poor old man when he retires. That doesn't happen anywhere in Spain. There are no border areas like that. Go to Ayamonte, TUI, or La Junquera and see for yourself. For the guy working in Portugal or France, and that situation doesn't happen to him.
I understand.
And then a third point, and it's that for whatever reasons, we won't go into details, but we all know them. There's something that happens here. They always say the city is known for two cries. You arrive crying, and when you leave crying. I understand, and let me explain. Initially, no one wants to visit because they're afraid of getting shot. Some Telecinco documentaries claim we've been in the most dangerous neighborhood. Spain, right? We've been stopped so many times. One lady stopped me to complain about the street, and another because she has a problem with her housing. And you must have seen that, well...
Yes, no, very calm.
It's mostly clean, so I don't see a problem, okay? So what's going on? There are a lot of people who let themselves be guided by certain, let's call it misleading advertising. And what's happening? They arrive here scared and terrified. So I find that there are certain civil servant positions, mainly police officers, teachers, professors, court staff, doctors, nurses, and so on, where the turnover rate is high, extremely high, or positions simply aren't filled. For example, in my son's high school, which I believe is the second largest high school in Spain, there are about 1,600 students who live near airports and roughly 200 teachers or so. Each year, 70% of temporary staff changes. What happens next?
And why is that? Is it because of the city's reputation, or is it because they just don't fit in?
No, it's that many of them come here almost against their will, and then what happens? Because everyone has their family and their own story, and well, you just don't want to settle down here and all that. It's not like, say, imagine I'm from La Línea. I get assigned to Seville, and I say, damn, well, my girlfriend comes here, and now I find you a job, come on, so we're both here, and that's it, we stay and make a life in Seville. People usually come alone, then head to Barcasuso, but there won't be time to reach it. But on Thursdays, that place is, well, it's between two high schools, two schools, and the police station. Those government workers gather there, and the atmosphere is unimaginable. Then when reassigned, many leave. I've experienced this in other Andalusian cities, especially when they ask, are you caballero? I was stationed there a long time ago. I was stationed there 2 years ago. Man, you have no idea. I had such a great time. It was awesome, you know, all that stuff.
So they remember well.
Yeah, but they don't stay. So what are we proposing? That this be declared as a zone, let's call it special due to certain circumstances, and that this is because of issues like economic depression, and so on and so on and so on. And that these workers, well, either get a territoriality bonus or whatever, or they get a reduction in income tax. So I'm sure that any of these people, if they come here and earn 300 euros more, they'll say, damn, well, I'll stay.
I understand.
By the way, this idea isn't mine. It's just something anyone who hears me says. How could we create a special tax regime in La Línea? And you think, damn.
It would be just for La Línea, right?
Everyone can ask for what they want. But the mayor of San Roque, who is now a member of Congress, can't ask. He was mayor before me. In the previous legislature, she was a member of Congress, though she says she was tricked into it and didn't ask. The mayor will claim the other person is a senator. If someone wants to lead, I'll go all in like I did before. But my point is...
You said no, so this isn't your idea.
Of course, it's just that I'm talking about it, and it seems like they think I'm kind of crazy. But the problem I'm talking about with turnover directly affects the quality we have in education and health. The problem with freelance workers, future pensions, and taxes is unbelievable. These situations don't occur anywhere else in Spain. As I was saying, anyone can ask, are you bigger or something similar? Introduce a special tax regime in Spain, and you respond, no, wait, let's analyze this. In Spain, the Canary Islands have a special tax regime. You might think they're just islands, but there's more to them. Ceuta and Melilla have a unique tax system. You might ask, are Ceuta and Melilla enclaves on a different continent? You say yes, but the Basque Country and Navarre also have a special tax regime, and they're on the peninsula, so which is it? And then to continue, sharpening the pencil, okay? If the well-known agreements signed by Puigdemont, Pedro Sanchez and others succeed, the Spanish Treasury will forgive 15 billion euros. Divide that by the number of Spaniards, get an amount, then multiply by the number of people here. The thing is, for this town of broken, unfortunate people, the party is going to cost them 25 million euros. You know, I think it gives us amnesty. I'm sharing information I believe is somewhat accurate.
That directly affects us, it's just another obstacle.
Meanwhile, we keep working. As you know, we're also in the provincial council government, and we're getting investments both from the Junta of Andalusia and from the council, like a story from the government of Spain, especially regarding European funds. We didn't get to discuss this earlier, but I have to invest in this one. I'm telling you, it's Amado's house. This is currently the headquarters of the Menendez Pelayo International University. Come on, let's start the meeting with a conference that was there and so on. And this was the private residence of a man named Biago D'Amato, who was a really peculiar character. He was a Gibraltarian businessman of Maltese origin, okay? And he played a very prominent role in the business world and also in World War II. Because here, for example, we have like...
Because of the Gibraltarian evacuation, right? Maybe?
Yes, but this one lived here.
Oh, this one lived here.
This one even did espionage work and very peculiar stories, okay? Here, in fact, for example, let's see, I don't know if you know her, Imperio Argentino, who was a great artist.
Yeah, she sounds familiar to me.
Starting in the 30s, she lived here, not right on the border, but in nearby houses. And her Argentine father, well, he ended up being caught by the English because he was a spy for the Nazis. He ended up hanged there.
In Ciudad del Tal.
And also here. Well, we still have some remnants of the World War, specifically the bunkers. Some have disappeared, and with others, we're currently working on a restoration project because they're iconic elements of the city. Here's the thing about the bunkers. Actually, I don't like that word, it's too fancy. They'll bring you the 14s.
The 14s, that's what I wanted to ask about. Is there a way out? In other cities, they're open to tourism, reinforced, or managed by private companies.
If you'd like to visit, I can reserve a spot now with a Bunker Route Cultural Association, okay?
Well, yes, we could go in because I've noticed that it's not open to the public, right? It's locked and...
You can enter by appointment only. I can set up a visit and give you the phone number now.
Maybe organize, adapt for tourism, and charge.
That's what I was going to tell you. We're working on a project right now. We're working on a project to recover it, but to do it right, you know what I mean? It's something spectacular. It consists of creating a route that connects to what is the Santa Barbara Fort. We're going to invest money now in what are the lines, what's left of the fortification line, along with the bunkers, a path with paving stones that we've recovered specifically from the surroundings of the Plaza de Toros. All of this is to fix their problem of flooding, so the project would also make them fully watertight. And with something, I'm not sure if it's concrete or another material, luminescent, to add some kind of indirect lighting so that when you go in, even if there's no light, you can see the steps so you don't hit your chest or your hand and hurt yourself and all that. Add spotlights to the old machine gun nest openings to maintain the line. Overall, a spectacular project. But we're looking for funding, and I'm sure we'll get it sooner or later.
And sorry, we just passed by this center, something I noticed.
This is the health center and the La Vega Municipal Theater.
I haven't shown this on camera before, except possibly in the video, but I noticed several renovation projects around the center.
We're surrounded by construction everywhere?
Everywhere, because I noticed it, and this morning I woke up to noise.
Sorry, we finished now, okay? The Junta de Andalusia funded this with our help, but the money came from them. You're seeing the second phase, already funded by municipal money. For example, the day I started, the theater had been closed for 8 years.
8 years closed?
Yes, and we invested 800,000 euros, and now it's running. And here we have theater plays, small format concerts, about 300 people can fit here. There's a passage from the Congress, but it's far from the hotel. I'm not sure if you're staying there.
I'm at the La Esteponera Hotel.
No, at the hotel that's over there. And we have a Congress Palace with a capacity for 1,044 people, with a small auditorium for another 300 and something. So another thing we're focusing on is attracting top-level events. For example, last year we had Fitty Party here, we had Jorge Drexler, we have performances for just about every taste, okay? We've also hosted sports events, including Spanish rowing and sailing championships and brand events. We have the regatta course in Poniente, which is spectacular, the soccer stadium, and I'm sure there will be important events there. Our team isn't doing well, but we're in the second division. For example, the sports hall was in terrible shape, and we invested another 600,000 euros in it. And we've managed to get the Spanish under-20 national team to come, okay? So even...
You're slowly organizing. That's also part of the city's restoration strategy, right?
And this part where we are, okay? This is San Pablo Street. This is the city's main commercial street. All right, let's continue now. One of the streets that crosses here is Real Street, which goes all the way over there. This is specifically the entire pedestrian area. For example, this area is semi-pedestrian. There are single-level platforms, and vehicles can drive through at 10 kilometers per hour.
Did you do that too?
Our work with European funds, okay? So here we are, for example, as part of the network of walkable cities. The city, as you can see, is completely flat. We've crossed it from end to end pretty much, yes?
Yes, yes.
Yes, and it keeps expanding, but with the time we have, it's already too much. This is one of the things I'm most proud of. This street that Granada has blocked off, the next street is Aurora Vale Street, so we've set up a square that intersects with Aurora Vale Street, España Avenue, which is at the end, and two other streets that are here. To make it clear, it's a square with sides of 400 meters. We're talking about 160,000 square meters. This area has had a reduction in traffic of that magnitude. In 2015 and 2016, we had the worst air quality of any municipality in Spain. And as a result of all the pedestrianization we've done, we've become the second municipality with the best air quality in Andalusia. After San Fernando, here about 5 million liters of fuel are no longer being consumed annually, I think, as a result of the closure. This obviously affects the air we're breathing. Yes, literally right now, and it has also helped to recover many spaces. Many businesses have opened. Obviously, the business used to close there. I'm not selling you some kind of paradise either, but we are managing to create a new movement.
Because how would this be, for example, if I had come here 15 years ago?
This is a small wax shop, and the cars and other businesses did even worse. The business closed, but yes, worse.
In fact, here there were cars and then all businesses.
Let's visit one of our main projects, the Market Project, and see if we can get in, okay?
Hey, and the locals don't... Have people from La Línea complained about the construction noise, or do they just accept it as part of the renovation?
I tell them too much silence is unhealthy. It's a sign that we're not doing anything.
Exactly.
People don't complain about noise, but about many street closures. I told them to walk like I do. Another town has seen me do this and isn't surprised since they're used to it. All right? This is the new market, okay? This building. This is an interesting fact. Until 1870, all right, again, it wasn't allowed to build masonry buildings in the city, all right? Why? There was fear the English would capture them. The oldest building, the military command from 1864, is an exception to this. All right, then there's the building where we're going to finish, which is the old one, the old Villa San Jose, which was later the town hall and is currently the Cruz Herrera Museum. In 1879, the Church of the Immaculate was established. Now the military headquarters and similar facilities are present. That was a private residence. You'll see it now to gauge the gentleman's wealth. Then there's a pretty ordinary church, right? In 1862 came the market, and in 83 the El Mercado bull ring. I can't prove it, but it's just noble. The nave interior is a protected cultural heritage site, and it's going to be a truly spectacular market.
Yes, you can see it's there and there's not much left to do. Also, how much do you estimate is left?
It has to be done by July.
By July of this year already?
I hope so.
We're in April now.
I hope so.
Just 3 little months, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, everything's going well.
Yes, yes, of course. Wait, let me show you a unique place here. It's not mine, okay? This is special, it's cool, and these neighbors take great care of it. Look, it's nice, this little square, okay? It's theirs.
An Andalusian courtyard, right?
Yes, it's Andalusian courtyard style.
Look, check out the little fountain.
The little flower pot and so on.
Is this building renovated?
Yeah, it's old. This building could be around 50 years old.
This is probably the most expensive thing you can find here on the border.
Well, right in the downtown area, yeah.
How much is the rent around here, for example, just so we're clear?
Just to give you an idea, well, a room or an apartment, a 3-bedroom flat in a neighborhood, it's about 800 euros.
800 euros, 3-bedroom flat.
A flat here might be, you won't find it very big here. I mean, for rent, maybe if you find a flat that's about 60 square meters or 2 bedrooms, you might find that's easily 700 or 800 euros.
700, is that due to the Gibraltar effect?
Hi, what's up? Are you guys okay?
Very good here. Look, increasing the population of the lines.
It's very good, huh? Ah, good luck. Come on, see you later. I'm telling you, it's connected. Let's go.
Who are the main investors or nationalities, if any? Have you identified them among these businesses?
Let's see.
Gibraltarians.
Most small businesses here are owned by Spaniards, okay? Good. Then you do find a lot of Moroccans with certain types of businesses. Let me explain. Well, the classic €1 stores, everything for €1.
I imagine, oh yes, the €1 stores.
Hair salons, there you go.
Butcher shop?
Tala has some Chinese stores too.
Because there's a significant Moroccan community here.
Yes, not as much as a neighbor, but it exists, okay?
How many do you have? 72,000 inhabitants.
Not even 1,000?
Not even 1,000. I expected more than 1,000.
It's not the biggest one, huh?
No.
No, I have more English ones.
Of course. How much does it cost here? For example, if I want to have a beer, does the price also get affected by Gibraltar?
A little bit.
A little bit more than Siciras?
Yes, sometimes more, depending on the beer. At a tapas bar, it's around €2.
€2.
They cost me €1.50 instead of 2.5.
With tapas too?
No, tapas are separate and they're expensive, you know? No, this is Farinha Square.
Yes.
This is one of the town's historic squares featuring the cultural center. There are people who teach here. Right now, we have an exhibition that's really cool. Not necessarily for you to see the whole exhibition, but at least so you can see a sculpture we have, okay?
It was renovated recently, right?
Yes, and we've spent much more on everything, like the facade cladding. Hi, how are you?
And the daughter?
I'm bringing a journalist here to take a photo.
Well,
This exhibition is called Holy Week, and it's a kind of interpretation of Holy Week. But look, what a piety that's made with metal. And yes, exactly. Look, for example, this is a septic tank drum that you can see perfectly. A butane tank too, yes. And well, this guy is Victor Quintanilla, an amazing artist from here. Different photographs can be interpreted in various ways by each person, right? For example, this one is really funny to me because this is silence, nothing more than that. Here, of course, everyone is quiet, of course.
Silence, please.
This is Salvatore Monti, a kind of friend of mine, and he carries the heart of Jesus. I mean, he has his...
Holy Week brings much Christian devotion here.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a religious town. I mean, the religious feeling is in the Andalusian style.
Do I make myself clear?
They used to tell me, I was at the Salesians, like a priest who taught me used to say, we are four-wheeled Christians, meaning we only go to church on 4 wheels. When you get baptized, because they take you in a stroller. When you get married, because they take you in a car. And when you die...
I understand.
From here to the end, where you see in the back, that was the first building. I need to find money because I don't have enough yet for the machine house. There is a 19th century pumping station, and in the world there's only one in Liverpool and another one here. It's in perfect condition. I'm not sure how I do it.
Sure.
To be able to open it, then, for example, right here in the gap that's here, there's a school from the time of Primo de Rivera, which is one of the oldest buildings we have in the city. This red building here, the nuns' school, and this street, in my opinion, turned out spectacular. People walk around here. Or what we wanted, which is that Guys, I'm waiting for them to call me back. I hope to give you a call tomorrow. All right, guys, see you later. And like I said, cross over.
Cross over, you're going to get run over.
Leave it, man. Wait until it's green. Come on, I'm going to get run over. See you later. So like I was saying, there's a different vibe on this street from the people who come here to stroll. It connects with another project we've done, which is the restoration of these gardens. This is Villa San Jose. That's what we're going to see now. This is the house of a merchant of tobacco, liquor, and other goods from Gibraltar. All right? And just imagine the purchasing power this gentleman had to build this house.
A mansion.
He built it 150 years ago in colonial style. He brought in an Italian gardener from Naples who designed a winter garden for him to walk in and a summer garden to stay more in the shade, and a Japanese pavilion over there, among others. That building you see there was the children's playhouse, bigger than my house.
That looks like a castle.
Yes, that little castle was the playhouse. This is the Cruz Herrera Museum.
How are you?
Good afternoon.
It used to be the old Villa San Jose, the house, as I said, of a family from Gibraltar. And right now we have several things here. For now, we have the collection of the painter Cruz Herrera. Cruz Herrera is a painter from the early 19th century, from here, from La Línea, in terms of style, just like Romero, de Torres, and so on. In his time, he was very well known, but later, well, he was somewhat forgotten. The man had a very extensive body of work and donated part of his collection to the city. So, part of it is on display here. Okay, now I'll tell you about that painting, and now, following this, there it is, that's right, the Three Graces. And it's behind it stands the church's bell gable, and the statue is positioned to match the perspective as if in a photograph.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Here's the church we'll visit in the back. We have various collections here. I won't show you this one since we're opening it tomorrow. It's a group photography exhibition from a local association. These dresses you see are haute couture dresses, okay? We have them here temporarily on display, okay? Also, they're from quite well-known people. And then we have, on the occasion of the 10th anniversary of an association we have for historical promotion, the most representative paintings have been selected, but with artificial intelligence in manga format.
Oh, I see.
All right?
Yes, that's true.
And now up here we have several things. This was a private residence, then it became a convent, and finally, in 1922, the city council bought it to use as the town hall. In fact, I'm an employee of this place and I've worked here, okay? The thing is that in 2008, construction work began, and like all construction, it took a while, and it was finally inaugurated in 2016, okay? And well, here, as I was telling you, we have the dresses and so on. We have Pepe Torres, who is a great entomologist from here, and here you go, the guy, this is part of his collection, okay? And it's on display here, all right? Then we have this guy, he's a worker at the city hall. These are photographs taken from the line, okay? From outer space with some spectacular cameras with a telescope.
Yeah, it looks like a telescope, right?
Yeah, no, but they're from the ground and from here and later. Well, here is everything that is the pictorial collection mixed with what I mentioned before, with the dresses and with the manga. Okay?
You know AI knows, right?
Yes, man, please, we know we like it, right? And well, each room almost has its own theme. Women are very present, and as you can see, there's a traditional style and so on, right? As I mentioned to you, this used to be the city hall, okay? And the institutional mayor's office has been preserved. The mayor's office was back here. This was the meeting room, and well, here. The portrait of, for example, Alfonso Cruz Herrera, who was the mayor, brother of the painter Luis Ramirez Galuso, who is the man with the bust outside, who is kind of the father of the homeland. And then, well, some personal belongings of the painter. This was the city banner that we took to the Universal Exposition of Seville in 1929, where we are catalogued as part of the collection line Industrious City, okay? And then this here is because on the occasion of the 150th anniversary of independence, the Provincial Council of Cadiz awarded us the City Medal. And these are two mentions. This is an honorable mention. Let me explain. And this is the twinning with Buen Habitaculo. The twinning with Pomarico will take place next year. Let me explain. Few people in Spain know this story, yet we've been commemorating it for some time, which matters. And it's that in 1891, a ship that came from Naples was heading to the United States full of immigrants. It entered Gibraltar to load coal, and it turned out that it was so unlucky that there were extremely bad weather conditions. There was an English warship anchored, it had an underwater ram, and the ship was completely torn open, it sank, and people died. Right off our coast, 500 people from this town. There were 5, not 6. 2 workers and a woman with her 3 young children, including a 2-year-old, were going there. Her husband had paid for their trip so they could seek a better life, right? So there was such an uproar in the city at that time that through public donations, a mausoleum was paid for the Italians who had to rescue the townspeople, and we have 26 buried here. When these people were in Italy, this wasn't known there. Every year we make a floral offering on the day of the deceased wolf, and they saw it. I don't know how they saw it on the internet, and it caught their attention so much that they started to investigate. It caused a commotion in the town. Last year we had the twinning.
And with Pomarico, it's not the same story, right?
It's the same because I don't know how many came. People from Buena Habitaculo arrived in March. We visited in August, and that month we go to both towns. They're about 2 hours away. Next March, people from Pomarico will visit the village, okay?
One last question. How do you see the future of the line? And they always say hope is the last thing you lose, little by little. Any final message, maybe? How do you see it going forward? Before you retire? Even if you're no longer in the position, how would you see it?
We've started from a very complicated place. Okay, problems everywhere. I'll mark this in green for you. We even had times when we couldn't pay workers' salaries, and things just got worse from there. So the problems that strictly depend on our work are being solved. And I'm the first one to see where the shortcomings are. On the street, well, we've seen, torn papers that aren't being sold. Wow, some streets is terrible. But anyway, what's clear is that if you had come 10 years ago and you come now, you'd say the change is dramatic. What's our idea? In 10 years, the change will be even better. No, obviously that's one thing, and now, on the other hand, there are problems that far exceed the limits, capabilities, and responsibilities of a city council. Some issues like Brexit involve international politics. You can tell me what you can do about that, right? Even though we've been explaining the problem over and over and laying out what, in our opinion, could be the solutions, right? What happens is that I understand there's no willingness to fix this. In many things, in many cases, because of the incapacity, short-sightedness, and mediocrity of our politicians. I'm not saying I'm the only one who knows what's going on, and I'll exclude myself too, but I'm offering concrete solutions unlike others. And now there are other problems that, if there isn't a more determined involvement from other public administrations, they are difficult to solve. Having said that, what I hope is that we can keep generating that positive dynamic so that little by little some of the problems we're talking about will be minimized. That we don't have so much dependence on freedom, that we don't have situations that sometimes arise as a consequence of drug trafficking, or that the pockets of social exclusion are eventually eliminated, that we improve employment levels, that some rates get better, such as school dropout rates. Anyway, having said that,
Those are the priorities if you're working in the next few years.
Well, we would stay here since one of the most emblematic places in the city is the church square. All right? See you later. This is the Immaculate Church I mentioned earlier regarding the painting.
We have the painting.
See you later and see you later. If you go inside, okay? In the church at the back, the one that's on the altar, if you can get closer, we'll see it quickly. It's the patron saint, the one that's the Immaculate Conception. Okay, it's a work by Ortega Bru. I don't know if you like Holy Week. Okay, Ortega Bru is one of the main sculptors of the 19th century, okay? To the right is the great masterpiece, an image of the sorrows with Christ made of stone. Everything here is valuable, but this stands out. Honestly, it's also quite interesting from an artistic point of view.
Well, very good. I think we'll stay here in the church, right? Once again, thank you very much, Juan. And now I'll also go take a look around to get to know a little more, okay? Thank you very much again.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
When did the boom happen? Roughly which decade?
The trafficking of hydrocarbon in the Libertad field, when he holds a very important position. In the 80s and 90s, what happened here in the Libertad field was known as going down to the Moro. We've lost 3 generations to drug trafficking.
It's 3 then. It's confirmed to be 3.
Grandparents, parents, and children. If we don't solve this, we're going to lose the next generation. In the end, everyone looks the other way, and nobody really wants to intervene in a comprehensive way with all the aspects that drug trafficking involves. He sits down with Morocco to talk about immigration, fishing, tariffs, and the Sahara. Why doesn't he sit down with Morocco to talk about hashish trafficking?